Bill and I and Anna Rose, sort of all from different angles, had this idea. Bill and Anna Rose are big podcast fans. They listen to audio stuff all the time. And I was out walking with one of our board members one day, and she was talking about how during the pandemic, we were doing a socially distanced walk with our masks on, hardly able to understand each other. And she said, you know, I'm listening to radio plays and old ones and new ones, and it draws me in. It's intimate. It's like being in a theater in a way that watching, say, a Zoom reading is not, because there's no lag time. I'm not putting down Zoom readings, but there's something about Antaeus that is so, we're so close. It's so intimate. It's so immediate. And if you put headphones on, you have the same experience. It's, you walk into the world of the play. Bill's probably better about describing how we got to the zip code plays and the radio plays, because I think he was the guy who had the zip code idea. In fact, I'm sure he is.
Several years ago, our Playwrights Lab put together, just as a fun thing to do, a 10-minute play festival. This is back when we were all, you know, before the pandemic and everything. They put together a festival of 10-minute plays, and the prompt, as they call it in the lab, you know, is they give someone an idea, and you know, you kind of riff on that as a writer. And the prompt was zip codes, and so we had these 10-minute plays. You know, that was probably 5 or 6 years ago that we did that. So when we were forced to, you know, shut the theater down and leave the building, we were looking for ways to continue on with our audiences and our actors to carry on during this pandemic, as is every theater in the country, the world probably. And lots and lots of people are doing Zoom readings, which is awesome. But we were looking for a way to recreate the experience that Antaeus has, which is it's a very intimate place. You know, our theater is only 80 some seats. You're only 5 rows. You're always this close to the audience, and I love seeing actors and plays like this close up. That's what I love. And so we were looking to how can we recreate that. And to me, as a podcast fan, there's something very intimate about people sort of speaking into your ears. It's very, I think it recreates that intimate experience. So, and as a classical theater, as I said, we end up doing lots of plays that are set in far off places. And it's harder to find, you know, classics that are set in California or in Los Angeles. So in looking for something to do, we thought, why don't we have the writers in the lab, let's revisit this idea of zip codes, particularly when what people told us they missed so much about Antaeus was the community, was coming together as a community. And so we thought, what tells that more than our own neighborhoods, taking a look at our very own neighborhoods where we all live. And so we thought about revisiting these zip code plays, expanding them. Yeah, and so we from 10-minute plays to you know, like 30-minute plays. Playwrights in the lab pitched zip codes and ideas to us, and we chose 6 of them. So that we would have a very diverse group of zip codes, and then they went off and wrote them, and we recorded them, and that's a whole thing I guess we can probably explain in a bit. But the idea was to celebrate the diversity of our own neighborhoods and our own city, especially when we're kind of locked down, and you know, you can't take a trip to New York or Paris or Tokyo. You know, you're here, and so let's look at our own city and our own surroundings and our own communities and celebrate those. And that's kind of where the idea of the zip code plays came from. And that's where the idea of doing them as audio plays rather than on Zoom, but as something that we can listen to while we're walking around those neighborhoods or walking around our own neighborhoods. And trying to recapture the intimacy that we feel is representative of Antaeus.
And at some point while we were kicking this idea around about how we were going to do it, which is a much longer conversation, we realized that people could explore LA from anywhere in the world. One small example is I have an Irish friend who lives in Westwood, and he and his wife and 2 daughters were going to come to LA this year for the first time. We were going to show them around LA. And now he's very excited that zip code plays are dropping, because he and his wife and kids are going to be walking around. They'll still have a chance from Ireland to take a walking tour of LA. They'll just do it in an auditory way, which is, I think, magical. I think that we can take the Antaeus Theatre's work, and it can go anywhere in the world now, not just to people who would show up in Glendale on a Sunday afternoon or a Friday night or whatever. I think that occurred to us about, I don't know, a day into pitching back and forth to each other, how important that was. When we started this process, we realized we couldn't do it with the kind of grace and skill that we wanted unless Jeff would come. Jeff Gardner, who's our, well, Bill will describe everything he does because it's extraordinary. We couldn't do it without his working on it. So we went to him and we said, how can we do this? What will work? What won't work? And he created a method. He purchased a full package of sound equipment to make a little personal sound studio for every actor. He found the clean feed, which is a way for him to record all the actors are working at the same time in the safety of their own homes, but the feed, they each have their own feed, so he can, like you would do on a film or television set, or if you're doing LA Theater Works or whatever, he could edit them so that it was as if they were all in the same room and that the audience who was listening on their headphones were together. And then most miraculously, he created full video explanations of how to set up and break down this thing and how to get your computer to work on clean feed and how to do all of that. And then he tested it out on Bill and I, who may be the two biggest Luddites in America. So it was great because if we could do the setup, we figured our actors could do the setup. And then with the patience of a saint, he walked each person through, and every time there was an emergency, for instance, Harry Groner and Don Didawick, who are a married couple and each in one of these zip code plays, their internet during the huge heat wave, their internet failed. They had electricity, but no internet. So he somehow set up a hotspot and was able to get as good of a recording as if their regular internet service was working. And Bill will tell you more about his everything else because he's a god.
When we tried to actually make these zip code plays happen, once the writing was done and the casting was done and the director was done, we had to figure out a way to actually accomplish the recording because obviously during COVID, we couldn't bring people together in the theater to record together. So we are absolutely blessed to have an amazing sound designer. He's our audio producer, sound designer, and Foley artist. And, Foley is, making noises that aren't there. Horse hooves and, car doors and whatnot. He does all those things in addition to being an amazing actor in our ensemble. Jeff Gardner, we all worship him. He's fantastic. So he put together a package that includes microphone, cables, a little tripod-y thing that has a kind of it's like a sound booth, a portable sound booth, basically with baffling so that people can speak and sound right. Cords that have to go into your computer, and we recorded on something called Clean Feed, which is better than Zoom because there is no video feed, so that the audio feed is stronger. But everyone, that means all the actors remotely in their house had to learn how to plug in the cables, download Clean Feed, put the settings at the correct place. And Jeff Gardner came up with all these things so we could put together a package for each actor. Each play has 3 actors in it. Our wonderful executive assistant, Jade Mujias, drove to each actor's house and dropped a package off for them. Jeff Gardner made instructional videos on how to set the whole thing up. And after they were finished, the actors packed the stuff back up. Jade picked the stuff back up. They left it sitting for a couple of days. They disinfected it, and then they brought it to the next set of actors. So it was a big operational kind of, logistical puzzle to put all the pieces together so we could get everybody there together at the same time. Yeah, Kitty is right. Kitty and I did a test run with all this stuff. I'll kind of show you the setup because I got a little picture here that you can kind of see. There's a little this is the microphone and the sort of baffled little little room to speak in. And then somehow magically, Jeff with Adam Macias, our sound editor, put these things together, and it sounds like the people are in the same place. It's absolutely amazing. There's some kissing, there's some fighting in these zip code plays, and the people sound like they are in the same place. It's absolutely, I don't know how they did it. It's amazing. But that's how we did this to try to make all of it work together and make remotely situated, safe actors sound like they are in the same zip code.
And I also have to say, Jeff has a long working relationship with the composer, Ellen Mandel, who's done a bunch of shows for us. And Ellen and Jeff together, the music that she created and then he wove into it is extraordinary. They're such a good team. My first experience with the two of them working together was being on stage in Picnic, and the world that they created was so specific. And once again, Ellen has really, she and Jeff work together so seamlessly. It just enhances everything that he has done and all of the actors and the directors and the writers have done.
We also are lucky to have Ramon Diocampo as our host, and he is the host of the entire Zip Code Plays project. And so he speaks at the beginning and the end of each episode, giving us a little context, little information, and introducing each of the plays. And he is a wonderful actor and award-winning audiobook narrator. So we're very, very lucky to have Ramon on board as the host of this entire project.
Hi, I'm Kitty Swank. I'm the co-artistic director of Antaeus Theatre. And if you enjoyed this conversation, I hope you did, please go to our website, www.antaeus.org. That's ANTAEUS.
Hi, I'm Bill Brocktrip. I'm co-artistic director of Antaeus Theatre Company. And if you enjoyed this conversation, please check out the Zip Code Plays, available for free on either our website or any of the places where people get their podcasts from.